My number 5 was your number 9, which is number 4, Cibola Burn.
Oh my God. What time is it?
Hello, everybody. I'm Cody Troyer.
And I'm Brent Gaisford.
And we are the Hugonauts, here to review and discuss with you the best sci-fi novels of all time.
This week, we're doing The Expanse, the whole 9-book series, which were written over a decade between 2011 and 2021. Totally took the sci-fi world by storm.
Absolutely. Each book is about 500 to 600 pages, or about 20 hours on audiobook, but they flow like water, and they just feel a lot quicker than that.
Yeah, and you get your money's worth. You're not paying $35 for a little novella.
Right.
Anyway,
right.
Yeah. What about next episode?
Next episode, we're going to be talking about Roadside Picnic by Boris and Arkady Strugatsky, which is an awesome aliens and dystopia and post-apocalypse.
And the coolest character ever. He's so cool. I would love to hang out with Red. He's like so just so sweet. Anyway.
Yeah. Roadside Picnic's going to be fun. But for now, let's talk about The Expanse, the whole series. Brent, what do you rate, The Expanse?
Yeah, I think this is the series. I'm going to give it 5 stars. It's one of the best series ever. And it's interesting though, because we'll get into this. We're going to talk about all the books, but basically none of the books individually would I give 5 stars to, but as a whole, it's incredible because they're all good. If you like science fiction, if you like exciting stuff happening, high stakes, every book is just good. We have to read I don't know. I think we probably each read 50 to 75 sci-fi books a year.
Yeah.
There were 9 of these. Every single time that I got to read one of these, I was like, oh, thank goodness, this is going to be good. So much of what we read is not.
Yeah, this is so true. Yeah, I blitzed. I remember because I read 1 through 3 for the first time we did that little chunk for that episode. And then I had a long time off. And then I was like, oh, I guess I should read Expanse again. That's so many books, though. Okay. And I started 4 and I was done with 9 a month later. Yeah. Maybe even less. They just go so quickly. And like you said, each book is dynamic and interesting and fun to be on the ride for. And then the entire series never gets too big, It's one of they manage their dynamics well, the emotional dynamics, the character arcs. James S.A. Corey, the combo, the Daniel Ty combo, hit a home run. I agree, 5 for 5.
Nice. Okay. All right. So if you do not want spoilers about these books, this is not the video for you. We're going to talk about all 9 books. If you have not read any of these, and you want to think about whether this is right for you, we have a video / podcast about the first 3. Go check that out. But what we're going to do here today is we're going to talk about all 9 books, what makes them fun or not fun in some cases. And then we're going to rank them at the end. But yeah, this is going to be spoiler filled. So yeah.
And this is going to be we usually do an amalgam ranking between the two of us, but not this day because we couldn't agree at all.
We're gonna fight about it. Yeah.
We're just gonna ding them up on each side of the screen like it's a boxing match or something.
So let's do it. Let's start from the
with
top.
1. Should we start with 1?
Yeah.
Top?
Yep. And I'm gonna go first because I've just freaking love book 1. As soon as I started this book. So first let me say, many of you probably, I watched the TV series first. I actually haven't seen all the TV series, but I watched a few seasons. Anyway, and I liked the TV series, but I didn't love it. And so I was kind of apprehensive about starting these books. But oh my God, the book, I had so much fun watching the TV show. The books were so much more. I was able to suspend my disbelief. The characters are amazing. I love the detective who's in that first book. But it's really
Miller.
just about Detective Miller. It's really just establishing the universe is so great. I don't know. I've been reading lots of other people are ripping off the universe because they love it so much. It's oh yeah, well we're gonna have a solar system wide economy, and there'll be belters, like just lots of other sci-fi writers are like doing that, and it's a testament to these books. So
yeah, and it's a testament to the tone they set, and how, without getting in the way of plot and emotion and characters and what makes a narrative thrive, they do such a wonderful job at making everything believable, like you alluded to. There's nothing that feels out of place in the universe they've made, or that feels too unscientific, other than the Epstein drive, which is
yeah, I was about to say, hold on, we got to rip on the Epstein drive.
yeah.
So,
I mean, but you need that to make it interesting.
So I did some math.
I'll give them one.
Yeah, for sure. I will also give them one. I'm willing to let it slide, but I did do some math before the episode. So for the Epstein drive to work, they're constantly accelerating places. Like basically the ship is never under thrust. And so I did some quick math. For a ship to be able to accelerate at 1G for 6 weeks, which is like less than they do all the time. They go for really long periods of time, constantly accelerating. Anyway, just to be able to do that, if you have a magic engine that can produce the energy to accelerate particles out of the back of the ship at 99% of the speed of light. Anyway, the engine to do that is free. It requires no mass of any kind to accelerate the particles up to that speed, but just the amount of mass of like stuff you need to shoot out the back of the ship to be able to accelerate for that long is 60% of the takeoff weight of your ship has to be just like crap to throw out the back to be able to do that for 6 weeks. And they're constantly doing it for like months at a time. Anyway, so the FT drive is totally bogus. It's like, I don't know why they did that. Like,
because what
the established sci-fi trope is to just have your ship rotate. That's the free way to do it. But they were like, no, we'll just be under thrust all the time. I was like, why do that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's give them a bone. You got to make one. You got to make one leap.
I'm willing to give them the bone. I wanted to, to call out the fact.
I suppose there's
it's a relatively large bone.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's a lot of G's in that bone. I also, obviously there's the aliens, but if there's aliens, then you got to make guesses anyways. There's no getting that right. I guess the point that we're making is that the belters being longer, and that the Martians living under slightly less gravity, and all the the physiological changes that different humans who live in the solar system diaspora experience feel very accurate. The combat feels accurate. There's a lot of it feels like you're in the world. I wasn't second guessing it almost at all.
Yeah. And it's one of the things that actually I wanted to call out that I liked about the books more than the show. In the show, I had trouble suspending my disbelief of the proto-molecule stuff. In the books, it's much easier. They just like do a better job of sort of having that kind of like, there's super alien technology. It's okay. Don't think about it too much. Like, it's just easier to suspend your disbelief. Whereas in the show, I had a harder time with that.
Yeah, fair enough. And I do think, and book one, is it's just an incredible setup, right? It's like how the gang gets together, and how the crew of the Rossi, and how they get the Rocinante, and where it all begins.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, what about book 2, Caliban's War? What'd you think of that one?
Book 2, Caliban's War. I have 2 words for you. They're both proper nouns: Christian and Avasarla.
I agree with that 100%.
And also Bobby, who's a great character as well.
Bobby's fine. I don't want to be mean to Bobby, but like, come on.
Yeah, Christian Avasarla is my favorite character in the whole series, probably. So getting her in there, I think that's what brings up my estimation of book 2 a lot. And I also think you really get a lot more sense of the interhuman politics, which helps set up the rest of the series and fuels that like interhuman competitiveness, even though there's this existential threat to all of humanity. Another thing that feels accurate about the Expanse books is that the humans are still fighting against each other and vying for political power, even in the face of all this new stuff.
Yeah, for sure. For those who, need a refresher or haven't read these, Krishna Avasarala is literally a grandmother. She has like a Buddha statue on her bookshelf. She's always drinking tea, but she also just like drops F-bombs constantly. If you screw up, she is not going to let you forget about it. She's funny. She's such a mashup that's so successful. Like, yeah, I don't know. She's like in my top 5 characters in all of science fiction. She's just like so good.
Yeah, and she's ruthless too.
Yes.
As the leader of the UN, the Earth Coalition.
She's just in the back of meetings, eating her bag of pistachios, like putting together the scheme to ruin everyone else in the meeting.
Yeah. I guess she eventually becomes the leader, but she's kind of the leader the whole time, though. What else did you think about book 2? Any other?
Stakes were a little lower. I don't know. It just kind of felt like, as I got into book 2, I was like, oh, we're kind of just like doing the same thing as book 1 again. Interesting, weird. That doesn't keep happening the whole series. I was a little worried about it in book 2, but because of Krishna Avasarala, I was like, I'll suspend my disbelief. And then that wasn't the case as it went on. So that was good.
What about Bobby's power suit though?
Oh, the power armor.
The power armor is maybe the best weapon in the whole
sucker
series
for power armor. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the power armor like gets introduced, it gets talked up, and then there's a scene where Bobby, the Martian Marine, gets to like use her power armor for the first time, and it's like just as sick as you think it'll be.
Yeah,
she's unstoppable.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
It's like a great counterpart to the fact that they all have to use guns with various different projectile types, like plastic and beanbag guns, whatever they're, I believe it's plastic ballistics, but anyways, so they don't punch holes through the ship's hulls. And so when she comes in her power armor, you just know she's so overpowered because the rest of the weaponry is so realistic. You're like, uh-oh.
Yeah, I think she actually literally doesn't have to fire her weapon. She's just like, they're trying to shoot at her and she knows that they can't penetrate, so she just like literally tears them apart with her bare hands. Yeah, it's awesome.
It's very solid action in number 2. What about number 3?
Okay, number 3 is Abaddon's Gate, and this is when this is the first book. So the proto-molecule took over Eros, crash landed on Venus. Book 2 is just sort of like faffing around on Venus, doing who knows what. Book 3, it takes off from Venus and opens the interstellar gate that goes to the ring space. And so this is our sort of like introduction to leaving the Earth. That all makes it sound great, and I liked all of that. Unfortunately, the rest of this book made me crazy. This is one where the bad guy in this book, very often the bad guy, it's usually a different bad guy in every book, although sometimes you get a bad guy who lives for even 2 or sometimes even 3 books. But usually it's one. They're always a named character who you see chapters from their perspective. This was one where I couldn't get past the fact that it was like telegraphed. It felt like it was telegraphed what was going to happen with the bad guy for the whole book. And then sure enough, at the end, it went down just like it felt like it would with Clarissa Mao. And that drove me crazy. So this one is actually one of my least favorites in the series, despite the fact that the alien stuff happening was cool, because it just felt like I knew what was going to happen. Like from like 15% of the way into the book, I was like, oh, I hope the whole book doesn't go the way it seems like it might. And then it did.
I guess I could see your point on that. I hadn't really thought about it that way. And I guess in retrospect, I think about it differently because of how important Clarissa becomes in the rest of the series. I mean, she's important, obviously, as a redemption character, but also as a character who helps define the crew of the Roci and their attitudes towards someone who tried to kill them. Obviously, Holden is just forgiving, but he's weird about it. He's almost less forgiving than Amos, who wants to befriend her and does befriend her when she's the mechanic on the way back at the end of the book. And so I think in retrospect, I didn't mind that part of the plot as much because it showed an important character arc that matters for a lot of the rest of the series. And I also I'm a sucker for like end stuff. I always like the ending stuff the best in anything. And the fact that it kind of wraps up that first trilogy with, okay, finally we get some of what the aliens might be, or at least their impact on humanity of the technology. And that scene with Ghost Miller in the station is just so cool and sets up the rest of the series so well. So I felt like it was a great like ender and bridge to the rest of the series, despite the Clarissa Mao issue.
Okay, good. Well, yeah, I agree. The alien stuff was cool, for sure. And so then that gets us to book 4. So this is the first book where they can like go through the gates. So the gate in the solar system goes into the ring space, and then in the ring space, there's like 1,300 other gates. And if you pop through those, you're in 1,300 other solar systems. And so book 4 is the first time humanity's like going out into interstellar space and going through these gates.
It's the biggest change in human history. And I think they did well to kind of start from the beginning and show how the different world powers change, how economics change, how much the fortunes of people who are a little more downtrodden change, and how much pioneering there is. It was an interesting choice to make it a Western, right? Because it makes the pioneering theme hit home.
That's all true. And as you say, as usual, when you describe things, it makes me like them a little more.
Aw.
Yeah, but also I think this book sucked.
You're so wrong. We had I don't want to do too many ranking spoilers, but this one was the one that was the biggest discrepancy.
Yeah,
for sure.
So one of the trope that I hate the most, which happens a fair amount in sci-fi, we were just talking about Childhood's End. Childhood's End is a book that I think did this a lot, and it made me crazy. To me, when the narrative requires that everyone in the book be stupid in order to like maintain the tension, I just can't handle that. Everyone's not stupid. Especially, here we are, we're book 4 in a series. I know these are smart people. Why are they acting like jackasses who are horrible at making decisions for the whole book to like keep the tension going? I just couldn't handle it. And also the stakes were lower. We're on like one planet, and I know I should be okay with that and just be on the journey, but like, I don't know, the stakes were too low. I got bored.
I have thoughts about what you just said. I'll categorically last first. I thought the stakes were fine. I thought it was a nice dynamic manager between the big jump of 3, and then we start to ramp up again. And I liked that it was a little more contained. We got to meet Elvie Okoye, who's again an important character for the rest of the series, and so we needed a little more time with her, and it was a great way to do that. And it also, I thought, gave a microcosm of like what exploring a new planet would be like. So it kind of gives you an idea of what all these 1,300 other gates might lead to, so you're not wondering about that. It gives you like an intense idea of one interaction. And I love the alien artifacts they find. I'm a sucker for artifact stuff too. And then I kind of agree with you about everyone being stupid. I could give you that a little bit, but I also felt like it was Holden related. And your frustration is more with Holden and his character, but his character is very consistent. He's fair. He's just. He's a good guy.
That's true. But even in this book, okay. So all right. So to get into
because it would be the way to solve it. The way to solve it would have just been to kill McCarty. It would have been really easy.
Right. So that's McCarty. Right? So McCarty is the head honcho bad guy. I would agree with you, except Holden is not at all consistent. Holden had no problem just like smoking henchmen all book long. But he wouldn't just kill McCarty, the actual problem. Like, the henchmen weren't the problem. They didn't do anything wrong. He was constantly killing them.
I don't remember that much henchman smoking.
He killed like 6 people before he killed McCarty. And like all those were innocent people following orders. Anyway, it made
We're gonna have
me
to check the
crazy.
tape. We're gonna have to check the tape. I don't remember that. No, that's fair.
But obviously in fiction, henchmen aren't people. They're just for murdering. It's like video games, I guess, right?
It's NPCs.
But no, they're not anyway.
Yeah. Or if you could pronounce it like I just pronounced it, Hunchman.
Hunchman.
The Hunchman, known for their quadriceps strength. You also didn't really love the back and forth at the end between McCarty and Holden, which I found interesting. I liked that part.
Is that where they were about to have a shootout but had like a big discussion first?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That's not how shootouts go. One guy just shoots the other guy. Anyway.
Yeah, here's the thing. Sometimes it works better that way. Sometimes the monologue is good. I feel like each scenario is different. Sometimes monologuing absolutely makes me irate, and sometimes I really like it. I like them hashing out their different worldviews.
Wow.
So I liked 4.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm on team iration on this one.
Okay, iration. Yeah. The thing about 4 that I liked is the flow. Like I said, the dynamics bring it down so that in 5 we can go straight to hereditary species planet murder.
Hereditary Species Planet Murder, Book 5. What's Book 5? Nemesis Games? Oh, this is the one where Naomi's kid kills everyone on Earth. Yeah, that's a rough book.
Correct.
Yeah. This is the Empire Strikes Back of the Expanse.
I read that on the Wikipedia too.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's apt. Yeah. Although it also happens again later with Book 7. So it's like this is the Empire Strikes Back Part 1. Anyway, the crappy empire of children. Okay, so I liked Book 5. We split the characters for the first time. You get to learn about their backstories. It's a little slow, but it actually generally made me like them a lot more. And then once the action starts to hit, having them split up actually like really increased the tension quite a bit. You got to like see this like horrible. Okay, so the rebels. What do we call them? Rebels? I guess they're rebels. Anyway, they throw a bunch of meteors at Earth, basically, and like destroy Earth dinosaur style. And Amos is down on Earth trying to survive.
Saving Clarissa Mao from prison.
So yeah, saving Clarissa Mao. Where is Alex when this is all going down? He was on Mars.
Alex goes to Mars, and he just goes to Mars?
Yeah, he's like investigating what's going on with where the rebels got all their ships, I guess. Yeah. And then, Naomi, the main thing is Naomi is captured by the rebels. Her son and her ex-lover capture her, and so she's on the flagship.
Well, she's like honey potted into meeting her son and captured by Marco.
Yeah.
Through that process. And I totally agree. I mean, I think that again, the dynamic management, I'll try not to say that phrase again. I'm so sorry, but it's so good. The small world of 4, and then you're back in the universe, but all the characters are split up this time. So it just gives you this rest from that continuous, if there's one small issue I have with the Expanse, it's not even an issue, it's just more of an observation. It's that every book is the same, except maybe 4 or 5. And formally, they start the same way, the things happen at the same time, the arc happens in the same way, and then there's a lead to the next book, and also a little bit of the whole 9 plot is exposed. They all kind of they have their forms.
It's simultaneously like the downfall of each individual book, where none of the individual books is amazing, but also what makes the series overall good. Like I feel like it's a weird thing to say about writing, because like writing is a product that like one, or in this case 2 people make, but just like the production value of these books is very high. Like
right.
They do the arc exactly right. The threads, you get the different threads. They come together about 70% of the way through the book. Like, everyone's motivations by the time that you get there, it feels organic. Like, yeah, but you're right. They do that every time.
Right. And it's so to go all the way back to my initial point, this is maybe the one book where they don't do that. And they break it up a little bit. And so it being right in the middle of the series, it feels like that's important to the flow of the series. And yeah, I just loved learning more about each of the crew of the Roci. I thought that Alex and Amos really started to blossom in book 5 too. They were kind of, just convenient before that, I felt like, and they had like their tropes, their thing, but I got to know them better in 5, and so I really liked 5 a lot.
I agree. Yeah, this is the beginning of Amos becoming my favorite character in the series. Like, he was not my favorite character in book 5, but book 5 was the first time where I was like, oh, Amos is pretty cool. And then like by the end, he's my favorite. But
yeah, totally.
So what about 6? 6 is very much like the continuation of 5, basically, right?
Yeah, totally. Just finishing the Marco Inaros plot up as they get back together to try to free Naomi. Did they free Naomi at the end of 5?
Naomi sort of frees herself, actually. They don't really help.
Oh, right. Much. She escapes to like the abandoned station that they're using as bait to lure and blow up. And then she does the cool spacewalk.
Yeah, the spacewalk with no spacesuit. Yeah. Which is a real thing you can actually do. Just if you're going to be in space with no spacesuit on, don't hold your breath. If you try to hold your breath, it'll destroy your lungs. But if you don't hold your breath, you can live in space for like a minute, like she did. Anyway, yeah.
Or as long as you can hold your breath.
But you can't hold your breath.
I'm sorry, as long as you can have breath without holding it.
But
okay. So they're gonna go get the bad guys. They have Naomi. They're gonna go get the bad guys.
Yeah.
Also, my Expanse themed cool lights went out because they don't have a Epstein driver or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I'm bummed.
Mm-hmm. It's okay. And it's usually the squids are back there.
Yeah. The cephalopods are still around.
So book 6 should have been sweet because like book 5 was the setup, the free whatever army, free navy is like built up as so serious and we're going to be able to fight them. And then book 6 is so slow and nothing happened for so long. I was extremely irritated by this one. I was like, this is one of the books that I was most excited to start. It was the first time in all of the Expanse that it was like, oh, okay, clearly we're gonna have 2 books that are like gonna be related. And I was so excited for like book 6 where we're gonna like, the good guys are gonna get on the upper hand and we're gonna kill the free navy. And it was just like boring and slow. This was one that really let me down.
Yeah. I agree. I don't have much more than that.
Sorry, James, you blew it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I like the one part that was valuable to the rest of the series that I really enjoyed was that Naomi finally figures out what causes ships to just be deleted by the ancient aliens through the ring space, and it's that like the certain amount of mass going through the rings at the same time causes the ancient aliens who killed the previous civilization who built the ring space. It causes them to say, okay, we see you over here. That's enough to get our attention. Delete it.
Yeah, for sure. That was important for the future books, which we should talk about. Let's not dwell on the sucky. Let's talk about book 7.
Okay, book 7. Let's jump 28 years in the future.
Yeah, now everybody's old, but not that old because they have some sort of life-extending technology that they don't get into too much. We're led to believe everyone's gray, but then they're still just as badass. Don't worry.
Right.
But yeah, so this is another one. So book 7 is the setup. The last 3 books are very much a trilogy. So book 7, the other half of the Martian Navy that like disappeared reappears. They've been on Laconia and they show up with some very badass ships and take over the ring space. And all our heroes get trapped basically on Medina Station and have to escape. And so I liked the Empire Rising. They seem like an enormous force. The stakes are like elevating the right way for like the back half of the series. It's clear this is going to be like the conflict for the last 3 books. I loved all that. So I liked this one, but I like it mostly as setup. I had trouble suspending my disbelief because like the Laconian military was so inept at finding them on Medina. They're just like coming in and out of, they're like doing all kinds of terrorism and stuff, but we're supposed to be in the future. And like, I don't know, they don't have video cameras. They haven't like invented that. Like, come
They
on.
were using that stuff. It didn't bug me as much. I felt like it was at least, there was at least a narrative element that like hand waved to it that the Belters and the people who lived on the station for a long time, I guess, the OPA, they knew the station like the back of their hand, and the invading force didn't. So that hand wave was enough for me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's true. But like with today's technology, you would catch these people so fast. You could just like run a program on video cameras and be like, show me all the people who never go home. And then you would have the people who are sneaking away to the secret tunnels. That's your list. And then that's it. It's over.
That's the list. Yeah. It also wouldn't have been a very fun novel.
No, that's true.
In that respect. But I see where you're coming from. What I liked about 7 was setting up Duarte and his ideals. This idea of, it's classic, it's visited a lot, but I feel like he's such a great example of it. The autocrat who is convinced that they have the idea to save everybody and they will do it right if they get enough power and control. And his ideas are also like founded in some sort of good morality that you can agree with, like the foundation, and then say, oh, no, not like that though.
Yeah, he's doing
person.
like utilitarianism. He's classic like utilitarianism run amok, where he's like, oh yeah, sure. Well, I like murder some people for not following orders like really quickly, but it's all for the greater good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. He leads by example too. I mean, and he's also taking the proto molecule, which
makes him so scary, right? Because the thing that you can, like, no matter how bad a dictator gets, like it happens in our modern world, we got a bunch of dictators. It seems like the only way they'll stop being in charge is when they die. And he has a solution to that, which is he's dosing himself the proto molecule so he'll never die. And it's like, oh yeah, that's a very scary dictator.
And gets stronger and smarter and like post-human at the same time.
Yeah, that's all good stuff, which really makes book 8 good. Let's get out of the bad one. Let's get into the good one. Let's talk about book 8.
I thought 7 was first of all, I think all of them are good. Even like 6, Brent made a fart sound. I made a fart sound mentally, but like it was still a good book that I enjoyed. And same with 7.
But it's about to get us to book 8, which is so far.
But 8 and 9 though.
Yes. Okay, hold on though. Quick question. Book 8 is called Tiamat's Wrath. In general, these book titles often make sense to me. What the hell is Tiamat's Wrath? Do you know what that is? What is that?
Isn't it one of their ships? Isn't it one of the Laconian ships?
I don't think so.
Is it a different ship?
Tiamat's Wrath title meaning. Internet save us.
This is a good time to do this.
Reference the Babylonian goddess Tiamat, who took part in the creation of the universe. That's thin. Okay, anyway, sick book though.
Yeah, it is great.
So, all right. So, what happens in this one?
Yes, book 8. We've got the crew of the Rosi, or the good guys generally. You know, Bobby and Toe, etc. Getting the antimatter.
They find the antimatter, and as soon as they found the antimatter, I was like, "Oh, sick! This is gonna be cool."
Yeah.
So they can the voice of the whirlwind. Is that the battleship they blew up in Sol System? Something of the whirlwind.
Yeah. They attack. They figure out the way to get the Laconians out of Sol System, at least for a second.
And then Naomi rallies like all the ships in all the systems basically who are willing to fight. As soon as they blow up the voice of the whirlwind, and they go to Laconia and destroy the shipyards, so Laconia can't build any more of like the indestructible battleships. So they like level the playing field.
Right, and the whole time Duarte is absent because
is this after he has his seizure situation?
Yeah, because he's like kind of rising up on the proto molecule. So the whole Laconian government is trying to run itself through what's the general's name? The general's running it. And he's doing an okay job, but he's no Duarte. And so they're trying to hide the fact that Duarte is, I mean, basically in a coma.
Yeah, for sure.
And keep Teresa, his daughter, as a pawn. But Teresa has been secretly meeting with Amos.
Yeah, that was a funny one that got spoiled in the audiobook. You listened to these too, right?
Yeah.
So Amos, you get introduced to this character who's like hiding in a cave on Laconia, but the narrator does his voice in Amos's voice. So it's like, oh, I wonder who that could be.
to be fair, it would have been pretty obvious in print too. You can let us know, but I'm sure it was pretty obvious that it was Amos once you knew that. What the 28 years had passed in book 7 and Amos had gone on the secret mission to Laconia. You're like, oh, she's meeting with this guy in the cave who is exactly like Amos. Okay. And he gets completely destroyed.
Yeah, he gets iced. The Laconian security forces kill him. But then are they creatures or are they robots? The repair drones
I think
who live on Laconia.
They're robots.
They're robots, but they seem like whatever. Anyway, okay, so some robots bring him back to life with some proto-molecule magic. And then he has black eyes and is even more badass than before.
Yeah.
Super sweet upgrade.
He just keeps becoming cooler and cooler as the series goes on. It's kind of unfair to the other characters, frankly, especially because Christian Avasarla died was dead in the beginning of 7 or 8. I forget where exactly it happens, but you're like, oh, come on, man. But she gotten old. So yeah, I mean, it wraps up basically with Holden escaping from the planet because he was captured by them, by the Laconians, and he spent all of in book 7, and he spent all of book 8 there. So they get Amos and Holden back. The gang's back together yet again.
And that's why I love this one so much. I actually didn't see the gang getting back together coming. I was like, oh, Holden's gonna, I didn't see how Holden was gonna get off of Laconia. Amos we thought was dead, and then just before it happens, you're like, oh my God, they're gonna be able to pick Holden and Amos up off of the planet. Naomi is gonna stop being in her weird pod where she was running the rebellion, and we're gonna get everybody back together on the Rocinante again. And they had been apart just long enough that it was like, sweet, I'm excited for them to be back on the boat again.
So fun. Yes. So yeah. So fun, so exciting. Such a good setup for book 9.
You should talk about book 9 because you love the alien stuff. And
I like endings and I like aliens. Book 9 is Duarte has ascended to whatever realm of control of proto-molecule he's in. He ran off in a pod in 8.
Yeah, he wakes back up and walks off with no shoes. And just
finds an alien spaceship, and
he's reached level 99 on the proto-molecule wizard scale. Yeah, he's totally unhinged now.
Right. And so he's the existential threat to humanity because he wants to bring them, as we find out, he wants to bring them all into a hive mind, like the ancient aliens had been. We also are finding out.
Hold on, not the ancient aliens. You already used that to be the bad guys. The proto-molecule guys are the hive mind.
Okay,
the ancient aliens are the dark ones.
They're the even bigger ones. Okay, cool. So yeah, it's the proto-molecule. But we also find out that the reason that everyone's been blacking out at various times and the ships are disappearing, we figure out the ancient aliens are trying to wipe out life, but humans weren't big enough for them to notice. And so they're only noticing humans when we do big enough stuff, which is travel a ton of mass through the gates. And that's why some ships are disappearing and people are blacking out and losing time in and outside of ring space.
Yeah, but we have our crappy monkey meat brains are not nearly as sophisticated as the proto-molecule brains, but it means when they mess with physics in each of these systems temporarily, sometimes it makes people black out for a little bit, but we always come back because the meat's the meat.
Right.
It's
Yes, we're just not as powerful as the proto-molecule creators or the ancient aliens, and we can't understand them. And I love that description. Instead of something easy like these aliens are here and now they're coming. It all stays in the human realm, right? We just kind of glimpse what the ancient aliens are like, and we by the end of this series we're still just have glimpsed the technology and what the proto-molecule creators might have been like. But there's such a huge gap in what they are and what we are that we only see it through the human perspective, which just felt so natural and like such a perfect reveal. And ending to this series and ending to the big arc of the series.
Yeah, I really liked the dreamy chapters where you're sort of like learning about how the proto-molecule aliens like evolved and like turned into this hive mind. They were basically like heat vent jellyfish that like slowly evolved this way to like speak with each other through light and then turned into a hive mind and then this intergalactic thing, and they were like able to absorb other organics. It was just way cool. And then the ancient aliens turn out to be basically in like another universe, and where all the energy is coming from, all this crazy proto-molecule tech to like do the rings gates and all this stuff that just like seems like free energy. Basically it was a really good explanation, which is basically like we're stealing it from another universe, and they're pissed. The ancient aliens are pissed about it, and that's why they're like doing all this stuff to try to kill us, because they're like upset about the continued theft of like matter and energy from their universe. And it's, you know, it's a little hand wavy, obviously, but like it was a great explanation for it. And then it led to like the thrilling conclusion and like such an exciting like way for it to finish.
Yes. And of course, it's Holden who ends up with the bag at the end, and he not
loves
fumble
the bag.
it. He loves the bag. He does not fumble it. He unilaterally decides for all of humanity that he will cut off the gates then and there, so that the aliens, the ancient aliens, won't be able to attack him. The Dark Force won't be able to get them. And I love this ending because it's such a perfect ending for Holden. And each of the characters gets their own ending. Alex goes through a different gate to be with his family. A lot of the other characters go back through the Earth Gate, so we get to see them back there. And I think it expresses the difference between like a unilateral decision being by an autocratic ruler and being by somebody who really means to do good, because he does kill millions of people in the balance, and he strands many others, and he disconnects families. But he does it by sacrificing himself, where Duarte wanted to bring everyone together into a hive mind and elevate himself, basically be in charge of all of humanity as the leader of the hive mind. And so Holden decides instead that the most important thing about humanity is to maintain the individual's freedom, which is also shown wonderfully through Tanaka and the new character in 9, as she's just dying and all she wants to do is bring Holden with her, and it's her individual freedom to just be an angry killer. It's her choice, and Holden dies and sacrifices many for that choice, among others. But I just thought it was the perfect ending for Holden and the perfect ending for the series. I just absolutely loved it.
Yeah, me too. Like, and it's a really interesting thought experiment too, is like what would happen in all those different systems. They'd all evolve really differently. Like humanity, as long as we're all still in like really close contact with each other, we won't become different species. But by closing those gates, he turns it back into like regular physics universe where it's like, right. Oh, you're on different planets and different solar systems. You're not going to be interbreeding. Like, it's just like a really interesting thought experiment to like, okay, there's gonna be like 1,000 different kinds of humanity. They're gonna evolve totally differently. Some of them won't make it, but like, it was just fun to think about.
Yeah, no, I thought about it for weeks afterwards. I thought it was a really interesting, even just at the personal emotional level, the idea of being cut off from a family member, a loved one, and we're used to having to deal with, or at least there's a protocol for having to deal with grief, and we've experienced it as humanities in death. But this weird semi-death of being disconnected from somebody who now across space and time is for all intents and purposes, dead to you, but still alive, living their own life. And that is just a really kind of wormy, chilling thought that stuck with me for weeks.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we made it. We got 2 things left. We got some similar books for you. And then we're going to just quickly do our like individual rankings so we can mostly highlight how different they are, which is a testament to how these books are mostly all pretty good.
You stayed with us this long. We owe that to you.
Yeah, for sure. If you have not already, please like this. If you're on YouTube, there's no podcast equivalent for that. And no matter where you're listening or watching, please do subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. We really appreciate it.
Roadside Picnic.
Okay. If you loved The Expanse, what should you be reading?
Let's just do these quickly. House of Suns by Alastair Reynolds. Just a fantastic, another
big
kind of
space opera.
Yeah.
High stakes. It's all across the galaxy. Fun one.
What else?
All The Expanse short stories and novellas are collected into one book for you, which, I'm actually forgetting the name of.
Memories Legion.
Memories Legion. There we go.
Yeah. All the companion lit, it really adds to the Expanse universe. The novellas and the short stories, they start from before Leviathan wakes and they go to a little bit after Leviathan falls. So just, more to gobble up. And these are gobbleable.
Oh my God.
Okay. And
Cody loves goblin.
I'm a little goblin.
And also Adrian Tchaikovsky, Children of Time. Great space opera.
Yeah.
We don't need to say more about it. Check out the episode.
Because we recommend it basically every episode.
Yep.
It's a great novel. All right. Should we rank them? Should we let the people know? All right. So what's your least favorite? Number 9.
Least favorite is the 4th book, Cibola Burn, where they're on that planet.
Boo.
I agree. Boo.
Mine is number 6, Babylon's Ashes.
Yeah, that one also. Yeah, I agree. Okay. Number 8 for me is number 6. Babylon's Ashes. Very much agreed. Great call, Cody.
So that one we at least agreed on. For me, it was number 7, Persepolis Rising.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Number 7.
I'm going to 3, Abaddon's Gate. I know you're not going to like that. Sorry, Cody. You have bad taste.
Well, here's the thing. They're all good. So that's the problem here. Ranking is tough. I'm going to go with, Brent, number 1, Leviathan Wakes.
That one hurts me. That's
just
crazy.
Didn't give me as much as the other ones. I was just getting into it.
That's crazy.
Maybe I'd like it more on a reread. Okay, number 6.
Number 6. Number 7, Persepolis Rising.
Okay.
Unsurprising. We're off by 1 again. Okay, what about you?
That makes sense. God, this is so weird with the book numbers and the number numbers.
Yes.
Number 3,
number.
Number 3, Abaddon's Gate. So we're not that far off on that one either. All right.
Really? I thought you were gonna love that one.
Yeah. They're all good.
Okay. All right.
All right. Number 5.
You're going. I'm going. Who's going?
You're going.
Number 5, Leviathan Falls.
Now that's a boo. That's a boo for me. I disagree.
Yeah.
My number 5 was your number 9, which is number 4, Cibola Burn.
Oh my God. What time is it?
I don't know. You're going to have to watch the video. Sorry for the audio only, folks. I'll put the numbers on the screen for you.
Okay.
Number 4. What's your number 4?
Is number 5, Nemesis Games.
All right, coming in the middle. That's fair. My number 4 is number 2, Caliban's War.
Okay, which is my number 3, number 2, Caliban's War.
That's fair. So you see, we're kind of starting to agree. Because my number 3 is Nemesis Games, book 5. So
okay, good.
We're right in the same. All right, now
my God.
Now here we go. Number 2.
Number 8, Tiamat's Wrath. We agree.
Tiamat's Wrath. And I think a lot of people from what we've talked to about this are they put that as their number 1.
It's
but
sick.
Not for us. Number 1 for Brent was
the first one, Leviathan Wakes, where it all began. I can't believe you don't like that one that much.
That one's okay. That one's just fine. I liked it.
You're
I like all of them.
Goblin dog.
But I'm an Ender guy. I already told you. Number one for me is Leviathan Falls. I love the way the series wraps up, and we get a little, which we didn't talk about, Immortal Amos Burton. It's a fun way to finish off the series.
See, but I didn't actually like that. That's why. Anyway, okay, all right.
Okay, that's wild. That's wild. Well, anyway, those are our rankings for the Expanse. If you can make any sense of them, please let us know
8, number
what
7,
your favorites were.
Number 14,
and your least
number
favorites.
3, number 6. Those are your lottery numbers for the week. Goodbye, everyone. Oh my God. We will never again talk about 9 books in one episode. We're so sorry.
We'll see you for Roadside Picnic, which is
Jesus.
just one novel.
Oh, thank God. Okay, bye.
Later.